From the locker room at the M&M Multimedia Studios, this is the Six Man Podcast. When it comes to technology, these guys are running the fast break. Now, straight off the bench to save the game, it's your technology champions, Mike Early and Alex Johnson.
Welcome to another episode of the Six Man Podcast with your host, Alex and Mike from Traverse Technologies. We are coming to you live from locker room inside the beautiful M&M Multimedia Studios here in beautiful Fort Myers, Florida. We have another great show lined up for you today. We've also gotten a lot of positive feedback from our other shows. Please keep that coming in, and if you want to see a certain technology topic to discuss, please feel free to email us at info@sixmanpodcast.com, or you can leave us a message or text us at 239-215-4200. To tip off our show today, we're going to be switching gears a little bit, straying out of our technology comfort zone, as you would speak, with an expert from multimedia. So when we talk about technology, a lot of times things like email and everything bleed into website design, SEO, all that stuff, and we have to hand that off. We have to be able to pivot. Being true trusted advisors, we want to pivot and bring in the experts. And one of those experts we bring in is Mike Haley. So we'll be discussing and covering SEO, search engine optimization, web design, video production, social media, and everything from the president and CEO, Mike Haley of M&M Multimedia. So Alex, going to put you on the spot. What do you know about SEO?
Yeah, that's cute. I know about as much as you do. But I do know that I have a trusted advisor in SEO, and I lean heavily on M&M Multimedia. But I do know that SEO is an ever-changing, ever-evolving technology, right?
Right.
Google has different formulas all the time. Other browsers have different, or ranking engines, search engines have different ranking systems, right? And how do you, as a company, stay on top of that?
Right.
As it's ABC widget company. How do they stay on top of that?
Right.
They got to go look for a trusted advisor, right?
Right.
It doesn't make sense to have that in-house when someone's already created that model and they're doing it cost effectively and as professionally as you can. So.
Right. And I know I get them, so I know you do get, I want to say, hundreds of emails. People reaching out to us saying, hey, I can help you with your search engine optimization. We can fix your website. You know, what's your impression of those types of companies when they say, hey, I can do it for $99? Well,
anything that I get sort of as a flyer or an email like that, I tend to just push off and throw away. But the $99, I'm not sure it's possible to get a quality SEO product at that $99. I know you and I in our business, we've gotten pricing, we've done some SEO, and I know we've done it on the smaller and the medium-sized scale, and I know it was nowhere near $99,
right?
Unfortunately. But we got a quality product, and we paid according to what we got. Right.
Obviously, with any type of technology, and this is in the technology realm, you get what you pay for, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, there's someone that will fix your computer for you for $50, but is he going to do it right, or is she going to do it right?
Correct.
Right. You got to have quality people doing your, whatever your technology you're trying to hit.
Absolutely.
So that's why we bring in the experts.
That's right.
To help us make sure our clients are happy and satisfied, and help them, as I always say, dominate their competition with technology.
There you go.
All right. So with that, we're going to bring in Mike, M&M Multimedia. He is the founder, president, CEO, all-around guru when it comes to multimedia. Please welcome Mr. Mike Haley. Welcome, Michael.
Good to see you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Nice to see you, too. I'm here live from the visiting locker room here in the M&M Multimedia production facility. Glad to be part of this and excited to be one of the initial episodes of the Six Man Podcast. I'll just kind of give you a little background about M&M. We're a 12-year-old company. Started this company, like I said, about a dozen years ago, mainly with a focus on video production at the time. And we had a nice little ride with a small company named Sony. During that time, we were able to go ahead and help Sony help them with video SEO and with some cutting support costs. We produced about 20 videos a year out of this studio when it first started. And the whole goal with Sony was to populate their Sony Listens YouTube channel and help drive down costs of everybody going online searching for their, either to talk to their support center, but we were able to counter that with having videos pop up for specific products, of how to use them, how to sync a camera with your smartphone, et cetera, et cetera. So just by doing some video production and then throwing some SEO behind that, using some of the SEO technologies to rank videos with YouTube, we were able to help Sony cut a lot of their support costs down and drive the amount of calls, and more important, drive customer satisfaction way up. So like I said, the first few years we were mainly video production. At that time, I also worked at a company called Field Edge doing some sales and marketing, and that's where I started to find a mentor that took me under his wing to teach me pretty much everything I know and get me started in digital marketing. And one of the things that I really gravitated towards, because I have more of a technical background and creative, was the SEO, because to me it kind of combines both sides of digital marketing. I was able to use my Gemini brain where I got that logic side, but also the creative side. So again, I thank you guys for having me on this episode. I know you mentioned maybe wanted to get in some topics, so you guys let me know. Do you want me to start with some SEO stuff?
Yeah, let's talk about the multimedia, right? So we have social media, search engine, video, all kinds of marketing. Obviously, a consistent marketing approach is to build your brand is very important. So from a Mr. Multimedia, where does a business owner or a company begin?
Well, that's a great question. That's really that was the driving question that really created the vision for M&M. When I was sitting back and starting to help some buddies with small businesses, and they were telling me stories about, hey, I got this guy creating my video and so-and-so's creating my site, but they're also telling me that now I have to get on this social media thing and my SEO's weak, but I also should be doing Google ads. And why isn't my business listing ranking in the top 3 map when people search? These are just a barrage of questions that were coming towards us, and just made me feel like there was just this gap in the marketplace for small to mid-sized businesses that were just getting marketed. Because what do we do as digital marketers? We market ourselves very well. And so, they were getting the calls for the $99 SEO. They were getting the, hey, there's something wrong with your Google My Business listing. Hey, did you know your website could be faster? And if I'm a business owner and I'm bombarded with this information on a weekly basis, I can either ignore it, or I can go ahead and find something like M&M Multimedia where we can be that one-call solution. So we really are well-versed. If it's something I'm not strong at, we have some of the top professionals in the industry that are handling those types of tasks or services. I like to say I better be the dumbest person working at M&M Multimedia. Doesn't mean I'm dumb. It just means I like to surround myself with a lot of talent. And I think I've done a great job of that by bringing in some great talent to help us from everything that multimedia does. And like I always tell people, we literally embrace the multimedia. And so having top guys on video production like Dave that's helping on this production right now, having people that are well-versed in just some business acumen like Randy, our VP of sales and marketing, and bringing on new talent like Ray and Ashley that are now handling a lot of the social media accounts and website building and so forth. And even bringing in somebody to help with the stuff us as business owners don't like to do that isn't multimedia, like billing and things like that. So being able to find the right talent, surround ourselves with good producers and managers of these types of projects has allowed me now to get back into being more creative and a lot more hands-on in the stuff I love to do, like the SEO.
Well, Mike, you're talking about the SEO. Mike Early and I were just talking a minute ago before you came on about the different marketing strategies that we see from other SEO companies. $99 SEO, right? Mike and I tend to believe that, you buy cheap, you get cheap. Not everything's created equally, right? Can you tell us a little bit about, as a business owner, if we walked into a presentation and it was a $99 SEO or a $900 SEO, right? Is there a difference? Is it price contingent? Can you, as a small business owner, how do I figure that out?
Well, I mean, the obvious difference is $800, but the more important thing is the $99 is it just I don't want to say it doesn't exist. It just is it's a bait and switch, honestly. It's like, hey, like anything else, like come in for this really cheap thing, but then once you get them on the phone and they start asking you questions, you realize that $99 isn't going to get you what you need. And they're going to explain that to you. And soon enough, you're going to be up in that $500 range at a minimum a lot of times. Now, there are people that have taken the time over the last decade or so to build SEO solutions for specific industries, but even those start to get watered down, because the thing we have to remember is these algorithms change frequently. So Google and other search engines are always coming out with new algorithms to make sure that the users are getting the most appropriate content sent to them. So if I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look up BMX bikes, for example, YouTube's going to try to understand the intent of my search. And they're going to say, okay, BMX bikes, does that mean somebody that's interested in learning how to ride one? Is that somebody that's interested in learning how to buy one? Are they looking to find BMX leagues, training, price? So we really have to understand how to build content that is in line with the intent of the search. So kind of going back to the $99 SEO thing, in most cases, it just doesn't exist. Now, I will say that depending on your market, there can be a wide variance in cost of SEO. For example, one of my first SEO clients was a person that started a bubble soccer league here in Southwest Florida. At the time, I did a little research. Guess what? She was the only bubble soccer game in town. We had her ranked on page 1 pretty quickly and pretty affordably. But now if we start to get into things that are a lot more competitive, we start talking about air conditioning services, title insurance services, insurance in general, home, auto owners, homeowners insurance. These are all clients that we have too that present a different challenge. If you look at the competitive landscape and I'm looking up auto insurance, we all know is going to pop up. It's going to be the Lizard guy. It's going to be all the other big wigs like State Farm and so and so. So one of our biggest achievements and things that we're proud of is we're taking local insurance agents and getting them ranked in multiple cities above, in some cases, of big wigs like Geico at a fraction of the cost. I can only imagine the budget that Geico and some of these big insurance agencies use, or insurance providers use or spend each month on keeping them on page 1. And that's the key. You really need to be on page 1. I used to use this analogy of, if everybody could build their business, a brick and mortar business in Times Square. Now, this analogy is not as effective with the less traffic in Times Square, so I'll have to come up with a new one. But my point is, if you can be right where all the traffic is, your chance of getting that business just went up exponentially. And being on page 1 does that for any business across the board.
So where does a business owner begin? That's the most, that's what our owners want to know out there.
I think a lot of the stuff that gets to me is, I do know a lot of people and well networked here. So, and people know me to help me with their SEO. So usually it starts with those emails. Hey, I got this email. We host, hundreds of websites. So we have to be in defense mode sometimes too, because they're out there hitting up contact forms of our clients. And then I get that email forwarded to me saying, so-and-so that said that we could do this and this and that. So that's usually where the conversation starts. But then that's where the real work comes into play. Now, my team and myself has to go out there and see if it's realistic. And like I said, in most cases, it's not. But it starts a conversation. We can go ahead and start doing the keyword research. We can start doing a competitor analysis, a digital marketing analysis to see the whole landscape of how that business appears online currently. And then from there, we can kind of reverse engineer that, because all the data is out there. If I go ahead and I search for, a Jaguar dealership or something like that, and I want to go ahead or used car dealerships, probably a better example, where there's multiple in your area, I can start looking at who the top ranked are. And I can start getting data from those websites that tell me what domain authority, how many backlinks do they have, what's the estimated cost or value of these keywords. So all the software and tools that are out there now can go ahead and analyze this stuff. It's kind of different in the sense of like, we have the blueprint to compete. Whereas a lot of times when you're doing marketing, you don't have that data of how many backlinks, what's the domain authority, how are these people doing their SEO? And then from there, we can start to look at the keywords that align with that particular business. So with used auto dealerships, we want used auto dealers. We may want brand names of specific makes and models of vehicles and so forth. And then it's all about creating content that Google is going to find relevant for those keywords.
Awesome. Well, the coach just called a timeout. We're going to go hear from our sponsors for a little bit, and we'll be right back with you, Mike. Just hold tight for us.
Hello.
Hello never sounded so good with Ring Central, the leading provider of business cloud communications. Our powerful, easy-to-use platform provides secure and reliable business communications at your fingertips. Easily manage and route your calls, message your team, switch to video, communicate, collaborate, and connect via any mode, any device, and any location. Make Ring Central your MVP. Message, video, and phone together. Ring Central. Work together from anywhere.
And we're back to the Sixth Man Podcast. We're sitting here talking with Mike Haley from M&M Multimedia, and I think Mike Gurley's got a couple more questions for him.
Well, when a customer comes to you and wants this search engine optimization, right? What is their expectations are? They want to get more business, right? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to garner. What's the time frame that they should expect where they can start seeing themselves, start generating leads and bringing in business to them?
Oh, that's a great question. And it kind of goes back to the research that we do in the competitives, because again, we can get some people up sooner. But as a rule of thumb, we set benchmarks every 90 days. So the first 3 months, 90 days, we're going in there and we're starting to do the on-page SEO and making sure everything on the website is optimized from page speed to image alt tags. So that's kind of takes probably the first 30 days or so. And then, as we start to get through the first month and a half or so, now we're starting to move more to the off-page SEO, and we're starting to create content, blog articles, backlinks, and things like that. So around the first 90-day mark, I always tell my clients, let's gauge where you were before the 90-day mark. So if you're on page 5 for a certain keyword list or keyword phrases, let's go ahead and try to start to track that movement. So usually what happens within about 90 days, depending on the competition, we'll move you up a page or so. Now, just keep in mind that it gets exponentially difficult as you go from page 5 to 4, 4 to 3, 3 to 2. So we'll get some people stuck on 2, right on the verge of 1. That's where the heavy lifting comes into play and can take a little more time to get you over that hump. So realistically, 6 months is probably a nice turnaround to get you on page 1 for certain things. But there are different markets, different budgets that I have to work with, and different competition levels that I've had taken up to a year in some cases, depending on the keywords. But the main thing, what we try to do is we focus on what is the client really looking for. Because a lot of times when people come to us for SEO, you're right. I want to generate leads. I went to a seminar. Somebody told me SEO. I don't even know what it means, but it has to do with Google, and they say Google rules. And so now I go ahead and I'm like, okay, well, are you trying to get leads today? Or are you okay waiting 6 months, up to 6 months, to start getting some traffic and converting those leads? And in most cases, people want leads today. So what we've done in a lot of times is we'll go ahead and shift and kind of put a package together and say, if you want leads today, we're gonna have to do some pay-per-click advertising. We're gonna find the best platforms. Maybe that's Google. And a lot of times it is Google, because what's more successful than a word of mouth or referral lead? A search lead. And so if people are searching, they have intent. So we'll start with Google, maybe look into Bing. Then we may get into, if you got some good branding out there, looking at doing some ads on social media and so forth. Now what we can do along those times, so let's say the first month or so, 2 months, 3 months, we're running those ads for you, all behind the scenes, your SEO is starting to gain some traction. So what I did with M&M personally is 12 years ago, I started immediately working on SEO. I'm a hands-on guy. I was able to do it myself, but I did run ads for about the first 6 months. Around the 6 month mark, I was able to cut my paid advertising. Sorry, Google. But I was able to cut my paid advertising because now my rankings from SEO were on page 1. And so from that point forward, we've just been tackling new service lines every month. We're going to our SEO experts, or I'm going in there and I'm grabbing new keywords and trying to push different lines of services. So we started with video. We got on page 1 for video. Now we're on page 1 for SEO. Now we're working on page one as just an agency overall, and we're almost there. So to go back to answer your question, I think 6 months to a year is a realistic time frame for SEO. If you don't have the patience and wherewithal to get through that, then I say you have to pad those first 6 months with some extra budget so we can run some paid ads for you.
Let's move into another topic, video production. You guys do a lot of it. You cut your teeth in that. Obviously, that's a lot of hands-on stuff and things like that. How did that change for you guys in the year of the COVID?
I look back almost a year ago, just a few months, and I think of, like I said, I was sitting there watching a professional NBA game or right before March Madness, and all this stuff started happening in my sports. And that's the initial thing that I started to panic. Oh, my sports are gone. My sports are gone. Who's going to be the sixth man this time? So once I got through the selfish stuff of sports and realized, oh, I also own a business. How is this going to affect my business? A little panic set in for probably the first week or so. I remember the first, I really couldn't concentrate. I was kind of like, okay, let's keep things moving. Let's take care of the clients. But that first week, I had a lot of clients starting to call to cancel things like SEO or pay-per-click. And in most cases, I'm like, okay, pay-per-clicks doesn't make sense to pay for ads, but it also doesn't make sense to stop SEO, because I know we're all panicking right now, but at some point, people are going to get back to business. And if you let your SEO drop, what's going to happen in 90 days when states start to open up again and commerce starts to open up again? And now that page one ranking that you just had is now sitting on page two, and you're losing opportunities. So we immediately pivoted and started to create a SEO maintenance plan where we were able to maintain rankings, give or take a position or two. But we cut their budgets down a little bit so we can maintain, but we weren't able to go ahead and gain new market share in SEO or anything like that. So that was a nice thing we were able to do for our clients, and was able to keep them afloat and still keep business and keep their rankings up. But the other thing that happened that really caught me off guard and wasn't really anticipated was the amount of live video streaming projects that came our way. In the past, before COVID, we would get contracted to do a lot of the production for some of the big events here in Florida. So we would go out there and produce stuff for the Industry of Creation Awards, different award shows, fundraising events. And these were usually 1 or 2 times a year that these events happen for our clients to get almost 80% of their funding, especially for the nonprofit type causes. Mm-hmm. So being able to help those nonprofit causes stay afloat, being able to still raise millions and millions of dollars through doing live streaming versions of events that typically took place in person at a banquet hall or at a conference center was probably one of the things that I'm proud of the most.
Do you want to give an example of what you did, or let the people out there know?
A school foundation, and in their case, they were going ahead and doing a talent show with live donations happening through this talent show. And just seeing the meter go up and seeing my team take care of all that just made me so proud. Meanwhile, I'm back here at the studio, actually sitting where you guys are sitting real close. And I'm running a live stream, doing switching and running teleprompter with my buddy Marcus for Calusa Waterkeepers here locally, which is a cause that I'm very passionate about. If anybody knows me, most of my weekends are spent on a kayak fishing in these beautiful waters, but sometimes they're not beautiful all the time when we have issues like red tide. So it was just a neat little experience to be able to sit there and see simultaneously 2 live streams raising money for things I'm passionate about, education and conservancy.
Awesome. So tell us how a business owner, if they're interested in this type of video production, SEO, web design, how do they get a hold of you?
Google me. Just Google me. That's all you got to do. No, you don't Google my name. I'm not a self-promoter. So if you look up Mike Haley, you won't find me on there at all. You'll find a bunch of other Mike Haleys. But if you Google M&M Multimedia, if you want to go ahead and go to mnmmultimedia.com, or you could give us a call. I like talking to plenty of people and getting to know people better. You can reach us at 239-234-1734, or feel free to email me directly at mhaley, Haley, at mnmmultimedia.com.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure talking with you today. we have one last question for you.
So, Mike, I've known you for a while, right? And I know you're a big-time Miami Heat fan, so I think I may already know the answer to this. However, we ask all of our guests one final question, and that is, who is your favorite basketball player of all time?
I think you know that answer. My favorite basketball player of all time is number 3, Mr. D. Wade, Wade County himself. Been a fan ever since. Watched him through his rookie year. Got a little disappointed when he went off to the Bulls because I thought he was a Heat lifer. And I got a little bone to pick with him now, rooting for the Utah Jazz. Now he became an owner of the Utah Jazz. But him and I will head over to South Beach next time he's in town, and we'll work it out.
All right.
Are you going to work it out on the court, or are you going to work it out in the boxing ring?
Well, I'm going to go with court, but I'd probably be better off in a boxing ring since my arms work better than my knees.
Gotcha.
I still got the three-point shot.
All right.
Yeah, all right. Well, so does he.
Yeah, without question.
No, he doesn't. Not like mine.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Calling you out, D-Wade.
Yeah, let's get the video production crew out and let's see that happen.
Let's get this podcast produced and put out there. Challenge D-Wade.
Right.
That's right.
So, D-Wade, if you're out
and
there.
And then always remember,
like it.
M&M makes media that makes you learn, laugh, cry, or buy.
And the challenge has been thrown out, the gauntlet.
Yeah.
So, D-Wade, call us. We'll set it up. All right. Well, thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you, Mike.
In our next episode, we'll be talking security. Security is one of the most important aspects of technology, and it's become more and more. If you look at what happened in the pipeline, $5 million they were.
Yeah, and they paid it.
And they paid it, yeah. So we're going to have industry expert come in and talk about security. Whether you're a small business, medium-sized business, one-man shop, you need to hear this podcast because these hackers don't care whether they're trying to hack a pipeline or a small business. They're just looking for vulnerabilities out there. And we had a seminar the other day, and one of the experts said, well, if they're not going to do security in their business, they better learn how to buy some Bitcoin.
That's right.
So it's a must-see episode. So thank you for listening. We are your technology champions. We're signing off from the 6-Man Podcast Locker Room. Until the next episode, lean into technology and dominate your competition.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like to contact us, reach out at 239-215-4200. That's 239-215-4200. Or email us at info@sixmanpodcast.com. This segment of the 6-Man Podcast is brought to you by the production team and M&M Multimedia. At M&M, we make media that makes you learn, laugh, cry, or buy.